This video shows you the best Japanese exercises for seniors to do at home, based on the movement practices that help Japanese elders stay active and independent into their 80s and 90s. These are gentle, low-impact movements you can do every day in just 3 minutes with or without standing. We'll cover Radio Taiso, Japan's national morning exercise routine practiced by over 27 million people, along with the movement habits from Okinawa, where researchers found the longest-lived population in the world. You'll learn what the clinical research says about these exercises for balance, fall prevention, and cognitive health, and exactly how to start practicing them yourself. Everything in this video is backed by peer-reviewed studies, and every movement can be adapted for limited mobility or done from a seated position. These are simple daily movements that help wake up the whole body and support mobility at home, all drawn from the traditional Japanese Radio Taiso routine. This video explains how to perform these movements calmly and safely, using only your body with no equipment and very little space. The purpose of this routine stays very clear from the start because Radio Taiso follows a short sequence designed to gently activate the body while encouraging flexibility and circulation. Practiced at home, standing, or seated, the routine focuses on smooth motion through the major joints, which meant it was created to feel approachable rather than demanding. Everything moves at a steady pace. Comfort always comes first. We begin with movements that wake up the entire body. Standing or sitting tall, raise both arms overhead, stretch upward, and lower them with control, repeating the motion slowly. From there, lightly bend the knees while lifting the arms forward, then return to an upright position, and that's when the body starts to feel more alert. Each motion stays controlled. Nothing should feel rushed. The focus then shifts toward the upper body, where wide arm circles loosen the shoulders, first in one direction and then the other, followed by opening the arms outward to gently expand the chest. What nobody expects is how quickly tension begins to release when the shoulders and upper back move freely together. The arms relax, breathing remains steady. Next comes flexibility through the sides and spine, beginning with arms raised as the body leans gently to one side, returns to center, and then moves to the other side. That movement flows naturally into a small forward bend at the hips, followed by a slow return to standing or sitting upright, which meant the spine stays active without strain. Control stays constant. The motion remains smooth. Attention then moves to the torso and hips, where relaxed rotations from left to right encourage mobility through the spine, followed by slow circular movements of the hips. The result is a sense of ease through the midsection that helps the body feel more balanced. Arms stay loose. Movement stays gentle. The routine closes with light activity to reawaken the legs and arms, using small steps or soft movements in place when standing, or lightly shaking out the arms when seated. That changed when the opening stretch returns, lifting the arms overhead once more and lowering them slowly to bring the body back to rest. Breathing remains calm. The body settles. Throughout the entire routine, natural breathing and comfortable movement guide every step, with no pressure to push beyond what feels right. Practiced regularly at home, these Radio Taiso movements support daily mobility by keeping the body active in a steady, approachable way that ties directly back to the simple goal stated at the start. Section 1. Radio Taiso. Radio Taiso launched in Japan in 1928, and the name translates simply to radio calisthenics. November 1st of that year marked the first broadcast, timed to commemorate Emperor Hirohito's formal enthronement. The idea actually originated in America, where Metropolitan Life Insurance Company had begun broadcasting tower health exercises in New York in 1925, and Japanese officials adapted the concept for their own population. What happened next caught everyone off guard. Radio Taiso became a national institution that persists to this day. NHK, Japan's public broadcaster, still airs Radio Taiso every morning at 6:30 on both radio and television, making it one of the longest-running broadcast programs in history. A large Japanese cohort study published in 2024 found that 96.9% of Japanese people recognize Radio Taiso, and over 27 million practice it at least twice per week. Those participation numbers explain why researchers have paid such close attention to its health effects. The routine consists of 13 gentle movements performed in about 3 minutes. 2 versions exist. Radio Taiso number 1 works for all ages and abilities, while number 2 offers slightly more vigorous movements. A third option, called Minna no Taiso, meaning everyone's exercise, provides 8 movements over 4.5 minutes at lower intensity. Exercise intensity falls between 3.5 and 4.5 mets, which researchers classify as moderate and comparable to brisk walking. Arm stretches, chest openers, side bends, body twists, and gentle squats make up the movements, all performed to piano accompaniment with vocal instruction. Every exercise can be performed while seated, which matters for anyone watching who has mobility concerns. No standing required, no equipment needed, just 3 minutes of your morning. Harvard Health has featured Radio Taiso and highlighted its accessibility. The Japan Society promotes the practice internationally, and major Japanese companies organize daily sessions for employees. Tokyo's metropolitan government encourages 10,000 employees to practice at 3 in the afternoon each day. The question that matters most is whether any of this actually produces health benefits, and that's where the clinical research becomes compelling. Section 2. The clinical evidence. Researchers published a landmark study in the Journal of Epidemiology in 2024 using a randomized controlled trial design, which represents the gold standard in medical research. 226 older Japanese adults participated, all of them experiencing pre-frailty or frailty, meaning these weren't healthy young people, but seniors with real physical limitations. 12 weeks of practicing Radio Taiso at home produced measurable results. The adherence rate reached 94.1% at the median, which meant nearly everyone who started actually kept going. Most exercise programs fail because people quit, but Radio Taiso achieved almost universal compliance. Physical improvements showed up clearly in the data. Participants demonstrated better agility and dynamic balance, with a 0.3-second improvement on the timed up-and-go test. Aerobic endurance also increased, measured by 3.2 additional steps on the 2-minute step test. The safety profile stood out as exceptional for seniors considering any new exercise. Across all participants over 3 months, only 3 mild adverse events occurred, translating to a 0.01% adverse event rate. Another major study appeared in SSM Population Health in 2024, following over 11,000 adults aged 65 and older for 5.3 years. Radio Taiso practice correlated with an 18% lower risk of dementia, and participants practicing other forms of Taiso showed 19% lower risk of moderate to severe functional disability. Muscle preservation also improved with consistent practice. A study in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care from 2020 tracked patients performing Radio Taiso twice daily, and those participants maintained their skeletal muscle mass. The comparison group told a different story. 85.2% of non-exercisers lost muscle mass, a statistically significant difference that matters for sarcopenia prevention. Falls represent one of the biggest health concerns for American seniors, and the cost data reflects this reality. $80 billion went to fall-related healthcare in 2020, according to CDC data published in the Injury Prevention Journal in 2024, with projections reaching $101 billion by 2030. 14 million older Americans fall annually, making falls the leading cause of fatal and non-fatal injuries among adults 65 and older. Balance-focused exercise programs reduce these falls measurably. A Cochrane systematic review examining 54 randomized controlled trials found exercise programs cut falls by 21% overall, and programs challenging balance for more than 3 hours weekly achieved a 39% fall reduction. A 2023 network meta-analysis covering 66 trials with over 47,000 participants confirmed that home-based postural control training delivered the strongest results, reducing fall risk by 34%. Radio Taiso directly targets balance, coordination, and postural control, hitting exactly the movement patterns that research identifies as protective against falls. Section 3. Japan vs. America. The numbers paint a clear picture of why Japanese movement practices deserve attention from American seniors. Life expectancy at birth sits at 84.3 years in Japan and 78.4 years in the United States, creating a gap of nearly 6 years. But longevity alone doesn't capture the full story because quality of those years matters just as much. Healthy life expectancy measures the years lived without significant disability, and World Health Organization data shows Japan at 74.1 years compared to approximately 66 to 67 years for Americans. 7 to 8 additional years of healthy, active living separate the two populations. The gap persists even after age 65. Japanese seniors at that age can expect 22.1 additional years, while American seniors average 19.5, which means Japanese elders live 2.6 years longer after reaching retirement age. Annual fall rates differ substantially between the two countries. Japanese elderly fall at rates between 9 and 19% depending on the study, while American seniors experience falls at 25% annually, roughly a 10 percentage point gap. Obesity rates among seniors show an even larger disparity. Japan reports 4.6% obesity, defined as BMI of 30 or higher, while the United States exceeds 40%. Physical activity compliance reveals the starkest contrast of all. Pedometer studies found 47.4% of Japanese seniors meet activity guidelines, but the CDC's National Health Interview Survey from 2022 recorded only 13.9% of American seniors meeting the same standards, a gap exceeding 33 percentage points. Japan stands alone as the only country demonstrating what scientists call compression of morbidity at the national level, meaning healthy life expectancy gains have actually exceeded total life expectancy gains. Between 2010 and 2016, Japanese healthy life expectancy increased 1.72 years for men and 1.17 years for women, outpacing overall life expectancy gains during the same period. Japanese seniors aren't just living longer, they're staying healthier for a greater proportion of their lives. Comparative research examining both populations found that Japanese Americans had fall rates similar to native Japanese, but about twice as low as Caucasian Americans. Heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, and functional limitations all appeared more frequently in American elderly than Japanese elderly, with weight differences contributing substantially to the health disparities. Section 4. The Okinawa Secret. Researchers searching for the longest-lived people on Earth found them on Okinawa, a small island chain in southern Japan. 40 to 50 centenarians per 100,000 population live there, compared to 10 to 20 per 100,000 in most industrialized countries. Okinawan women over 70 hold the distinction of being the longest-lived population in the world, and the health data extends beyond just longevity. The Okinawa Centenarian Study documented 80% less heart disease among Okinawans, along with 25% less breast and prostate cancer and 50% less colon cancer compared to Americans. Dr. Makoto Suzuki founded this study in 1975 at the University of the Ryukyus, creating what became the world's longest continuously running centenarian study. Over 1,000 centenarians have participated in the research since then. Dr. Bradley Wilcox and Dr. D. Craig Wilcox now serve as co-principal investigators and have published extensively on the findings. Dr. Bradley Wilcox summarized the implications directly. If Americans lived more like the Okinawans, 80% of the nation's coronary care units, 1/3 of the cancer wards, and a lot of the nursing homes would be shut down. Dan Buettner coined the term blue zones during a 2004 research project with the National Institute on Aging, and his November 2005 National Geographic cover story titled The Secrets of Long Life became one of the magazine's best-selling issues. 9 common factors emerged across longevity hotspots, with Move Naturally ranking as the very first principle. The findings surprised the research team. Blue zone inhabitants don't exercise formally at all. Buettner explained it this way. The longest-lived people in the world, none of them did CrossFit or did triathlons, but rather lived in an environment that constantly nudged them into movement without thinking about it. Okinawan movement takes specific forms that differ from Western exercise routines. Gardening serves as the primary daily activity, and almost all Okinawan centenarians grow or once grew a garden. The practice provides a wide range of motion, repeated standing and squatting, and stress reduction through connection with nature. Floor living requires getting up and down from tatami mats dozens of times each day because traditional Okinawan homes have minimal furniture. This constant rising and lowering builds lower body strength and balance while, somewhat paradoxically, protecting against dangerous falls by keeping people close to the ground. Walking to neighbors, shops, and community gatherings remains standard practice. Dr. Bradley Wilcox cited a traditional Okinawan saying, "Live far enough away from your family so you're not running into them every day, but close enough to take them a warm bowl of soup on foot." No traditional word for retirement exists in Okinawan, and work plus purposeful activity continue throughout life. One centenarian, 102 years old when Dr. Wilcox interviewed him, described his ikigai, his reason for being, as caring for 2 prize bulls daily. Section 5. Ikigai and Purpose. Ikigai translates roughly as reason for being, and the concept carries measurable mortality implications beyond philosophy. The Osaki study tracked over 43,000 Japanese adults for 7 years, publishing results in Psychosomatic Medicine in 2008. Participants without Ikigai faced 1.5 times higher all-cause mortality risk and 1.6 times higher cardiovascular mortality. Confirmation came from the Japan Collaborative Cohort Study, which followed over 73,000 participants for 12 and a half years. Men with Ikigai showed 15% lower mortality compared to those without a defined sense of purpose. The connection to movement runs deep. Japanese practices like Radio Taiso function as more than physical exercise because they provide daily rituals offering structure, community connection, and a sense of purpose. Millions of Japanese gathering in parks at 6:30 in the morning aren't just stretching their shoulders but participating in something larger than themselves. Hector Garcia co-authored the book Ikigai after interviewing 100 Okinawan centenarians, and he described visiting a nursing home where even residents dedicated at least 5 minutes every day to Radio Taiso. Some performed the exercises from their wheelchairs. Bietner observed that walking is the only way proven to stave off cognitive decline, and the research supports that statement. Movement, purpose, and community form an interconnected system, and Japanese longevity practices address all three simultaneously rather than treating them as separate concerns. Section 6. Practical application. The Japanese Ministry of Health published updated physical activity guidelines in January 2024, and their recommendations for adults 65 and older include specific targets worth knowing. 40 or more minutes of physical activity daily at any intensity forms the baseline, with a goal of 6,000 steps per day. Multi-element exercise covering strength, balance, and flexibility should occur at least 3 days per week. The Pleasant 10 recommendation suggests adding just 10 minutes of moderate activity daily, which research shows reduces disease risk by 3.2%. Radio Taiso fits this framework naturally. Sessions last only 3 to 10 minutes, and all movements work standing or seated. No equipment enters the equation, and clinical trials documented 97.6% adherence alongside a 0.01% adverse event rate. The practice works alone or in groups, and free instructional videos appear on NHK's YouTube channel. The Japan Society in the UK provides free Radio Taiso exercise videos as well, and searching Radio Taiso on YouTube brings up official versions with English guidance. Kumiko Kaneyama, a shiatsu grandmaster, explained the cultural reach. In Japan, everybody knows about Radio Taiso because we needed to do it every day in school. Beyond school, it's broadcast on the public national TV station and radio. Many large companies organize their own Radio Taiso every day. Starting takes 3 minutes in the morning, done daily, treated as ritual rather than workout.